What's going
on? Say hello. You're live.
We're live. We're live with no intro.
We got no intro.
Emma! Emma! There you go. You haven't missed out now.
Oh, no.
There you go. All right. Well, let's just rip into it, guys. Wednesday night, Wacky Wednesday. I don't know what's happened there, but
I don't know what happened to the...
yeah, we're in. Yeah, let's go. Exactly, Max. Okay. So there's new instruction for mobile speed cameras. I haven't got the clip in, guys, but we might try and grab it in for tomorrow night. But this copper in Queensland has actually thrown his mobile radar unit at this P-plater, then come out that it was in self-defense. And then they're saying this guy's got a string of traffic offences, you know what I mean? Like, mate, this copper just lost his shit, guys, all right, and just turfed this mobile camera because this guy wouldn't pull up. Absolutely hilarious, and it just shows the stress that they're under, guys. It's time to keep pushing on them, all right, because they're panicking, all right? They're not having a good time, and I'm not suggesting we should make their life any harder, although they definitely friggin' deserve it from what they've done to us over 5 years. But it just shows the signs, guys, all right? So, yeah. Rain, rain, rain. Yeah, more rain. Yeah, we're hearing you, Katrina, and we're praying for you guys. Listen, if you want to know why we're having all this trouble up there, guys, there's it'll probably come out again. I haven't gone looking for it today, but it's the M1 freeway. All right, what they've done is they've locked it up so there's no travel behind where they've bypassed the cities and the towns, you know, Lismores and that. You know, they've put the M1 behind. And they've given what they think is adequate flow, you know what I mean, for water to get through and do what it's got to do. And we saw in the last big debacle up there, guys, a couple of years ago that exactly what is happening is another government up. All right. Who are the engineers that built that? Because this is the sort of stuff I used to build, guys, you know, absolutely ridiculous. Yet here we are in drought. Yeah, but they control the weather, Braden, sorry. So they're controlling the weather. Why are we getting floods up there and drought down here? Because they do control the weather. Aha. Okay. All right. Australia Made Week. I think that's an absolute joke, guys. Australia. What can you get Australia? If you could tell me what I can get Australian made. Now, this is apart from all our brilliant people that we got out there doing their own Australian made products. But that's not what they're talking about here. They're talking about this kangaroo check in Woolies and friggin' Coles and, you know, everywhere else. So what out there is actually Australian? Because as I see it, there ain't much. All right. The Sydney train debacle, what an absolute schmozzle. All right. I got a few things up here from the Matrix, guys, but I think what we'll do is I'll just read this out because this guy is one of the people that I tell you about, guys, that we've got working behind the scenes, all right? Very, very smart people, and you're about to realize what happens to these smart people. This guy just lost his wife not long ago too, okay? And this is what's happened to him, guys. The unlawful invasion of Michael Rolfe's home in a quiet neighbourhood. Now, this guy's very quiet neighbourhood. This guy lives down here, where peace and order are at the norm. An unsettling incident has raised serious questions about the abuse and authority of the sanctity of private property. Michael Rolfe, a law-abiding citizen, found himself law, as in L-O-R-E, because Michael lives by do no harm to others, found himself at the centre of a distressing ordeal when a group of commercial officers invaded his home without a warrant, trespassing and detaining him under false pretences. The incident: it was an ordinary afternoon when Michael Rolfe was abruptly confronted by a team of officers claiming to be conducting a crime scene investigation. Without presenting any search warrant or legal authority, they entered his residence, asserting they had probable cause to suspect illegal activity. Yeah, what? They're fighting against you guys. Is that you call that illegal activity? You're wankers. Despite the absence of any concrete evidence or a proper warrant, the officers proceeded to detain Michael, claiming he was a suspect in a criminal matter. The invasion was not only unwarranted, but also illegal. No court order was produced. No crime had been committed on the premises. The officers' actions were a flagrant violation of Michael's constitutional rights to privacy and due process. His home and a private sanctuary was turned into a perpetrated crime scene without any substantiated cause, legal and ethical concerns. This incident underscores troubling trend where authority is wielded without the proper legal channels. The police and law enforcement agency are bound by constitutional safeguards to protect citizens from arbitrary searches and seizures. Warrantless searches are only permissible in narrow, defined circumstances such as exigent situations or consent, neither of which was present in Michael Wright's case. The officer's actions also breach principles enshrined in legal frameworks that uphold respect for private property and personal. Trespassing without law or due protection not only damages individual rights, but also erodes public trust. And that's exactly right. Now, this guy is one of our guys. All right, I will put out more probably in the next few days about what he's involved with and what he's doing. But, yeah, this is someone who's really fighting against your system. And here they are, guys. They're not happy. So what this is showing you is what we are doing to them. All right, and what we're doing to them is we're frigging annoying the shit out of them, guys. Okay? We really are. So, a couple other people that are out around the traps annoying the shit out of people, and I love it. Charles and Frank, come on in, guys. Caz, if you're ready, come on in. I haven't shared out yet, Caz, so I'm going to have to jump in and do that, actually. G'day, guys.
I don't know what happened to the intro.
Good evening.
It's sitting there.
How's your week been? And Frank, come on in, Frank, and give us an intro, brother. Go while I get shared
Hey,
out.
how are you? How are you, Dave? How's my co-host doing, Charlie?
Very well.
Or is it the other way around? I don't know.
Host and host.
I think I'll end up being your guest soon, mate.
No, I think I'll be your guest. We'll keep going.
Okay. Hey, yeah, Mondays at Maggie's obviously is going gangbusters, and no thanks to this gentleman here, Charles, who's an encyclopedia of knowledge. So he's been helping me along the way with all this. But today, I want to go back a bit. Mondays at Maggie's this week in particular, our theme was about trust. And today I did a bit of a spiel on trust. And I also caught Johnny Cantoni's plea today.
Yeah.
And if Johnny's listening to this evening, and I hope he is, Johnny, from Charles and myself and Dave and Caz and everybody here on Stop the Rot, mate. When we did Mondays at Maggie's from the get-go, we only had 3 people show up, literally 3 people.
Yep.
And so we've been, towing this line for 46 weeks now, mate. All I encourage you to do, and please, if you need to reach out and talk to me about anything, we're here to hear it and help you along the way. Johnny, I'm gonna encourage you to keep going, mate. Don't be discouraged by what happened today. Okay. I had a big rant about the fact of people, coming out and getting their boots on the ground and fighting the cause, right? So, Johnny, listen, mate. I know how difficult it is and how disparaging it is when you only get a few people rock up. But, the first thing is that, the good Lord's pressed it on your heart to do it, okay? And as you know, sometimes it always doesn't come in our own timing, as difficult as that may be. It's always in God's timing. But he's put you there to do the mission, and the mission is to make sure that, they'll come. Johnny, I'm telling you, they'll come. I'm going to encourage you.
They will come. Build it and they will come. We've all seen the movie, guys. We've all seen the movie.
That's exactly right. So, Johnny, from us, myself, personally, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. We're right behind you. If you need to reach out and you need to talk to somebody, don't hesitate. Get my details and we can chat over the phone. But, mate, keep doing. I love what you're doing, and I think you're on the right path, brother. I genuinely do. Right? So don't be disparaged by it at all, mate. There you go, Dave.
I think he's an even bigger hero because this is what it is. It's about chipping away. And what the bad guys don't want, they want to demoralize us, right? And sometimes we turn up, and because we don't have billions of dollars like the government does of our money, we get demoralized. But what they don't want you to do is keep chipping away, because you keep chipping away and people notice, and they notice that you love Australia, and they will turn up. So they don't want you to keep chipping away. That's my experience.
Yep. Well said,
right.
Charles.
And I think we've been chipping away, and I think we're getting a couple of loose bricks in the wall, because from what I see in the background, with what Trump's doing over there, and that doesn't really affect Australia much at the moment. But what we're seeing in Australia, guys, is like I just said to you about how does a cop run into the middle of the road and actually throw his mobile camera at a car in pissed off fashion. These guys are losing it, man.
Well,
They're
maybe he's
losing
had
it.
it. Maybe he had a
Go.
COVID injection.
Maybe had
Because-
more than one.
and the real truth
Maybe
is,
he had more than one.
But I have to explain something. You know, for years I've been very interested in natural health, right? Because I've been needing it to stay alive. And anyone who does any research into the blood-brain barrier, okay, our brain has a defense, a shield, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you take a medication that lowers your blood-brain barrier or crosses that path, it means that as it goes in, other toxins could go into your brain too, because your blood-brain barrier is down. So I'll give you an example. There are people out there that take methamphetamine, right? There's maybe a truck driver out there somewhere, unfortunately. He's earning a living or something, and he's taken to using ice or whatever the case may be. That drug actually lowers the blood-brain barrier. And so now any toxins in the environment or in his daily life or any food, they're potentially ending up on his brain because his shield is down. Now, that's if you're taking illicit drugs. But if you follow the government's advice, if you're a policeman or one of their employees or whatever, you took that jab, and that thing's doing what ice will do, lower your blood-brain barrier, right? And who's to say that we don't have a lot of these police got the jab? Who's to say that they're not mildly affected by, shall we say, brain damage like a boxer would have? Because you see, when a boxer's getting hit, that blood-brain barrier, that can't defend against big hits. And these people have neurological problems. There's so much evidence. You know, I'll give you an example. Recently, I don't know if anyone can remember, you know that actor Mickey Rourke?
Yeah.
You know the American actor? Well, in
He's
1980s,
unrecognizable these days, Charles.
I'm
Yeah,
like
that's
I
right.
am. I'm like I am because of bruising my brain in the karate ring. You know, I got
Well,
excuses. All
right. But you probably bruised your brain in karate ring as an exercise in sport, right? You had a choice in that matter. But you didn't have some insidious government basically bringing your blood-brain barrier, you know, because
Good
of a
point.
supposed medicine that was for your own
point.
benefit, right? But
Yep.
Joe Rogan was actually saying recently about the actor Mickey Rourke, who made some great movies in the 1980s, right? He said that basically after that guy took up boxing, after he took a break from Hollywood in the 90s, he was never quite the same. And there's actually guys out there who beat the shit out of Mickey Rourke, you know, in the ring and outside of the ring. And they've said the same thing. That guy's got brain damage. Maybe that cop has got brain damage. Maybe a lot of our officials, well, the ones that were forced to take the jab, maybe they've got brain damage.
I wish I had the clip, but we'll throw it in for tomorrow night or something. I was trying
I've
to get
seen
it
it.
off the mainstream news. You've seen it? Yeah. Now, come on. You know, they're coming up with, it was self-defense. It was an absolute flip out. You lost your shit, bro. All right, because someone didn't do what you want them to do under your little control mechanism. That's it.
Self-defense. The car was moving away from him.
You
You can't make this shit up.
Absolute god, man. But listen, you guys are on fire, eh? Things are building, as we were just saying then. And Johnny, I'll give you a ring after the show, mate. Look, we're going forward, guys, and yeah, we are.
1,000 podcasts. We've just started Mondays at Maggie's, the podcast, which is about defending Australia, okay, from this rise of medical tyranny. It's about people gathering at their governor's gates. We've now got 1,000 people tuning in.
Get onto it, guys.
That's
Brilliant.
awesome.
Yeah.
And we just started, right? So the thing is, with podcasting, for a little podcast like ours, it's very local. It's only about the local fight for Australia. We don't want any international bullshit unless it relates to Australia. Normally, you know, you get probably 70 downloads or something within a couple of weeks. But we've got 1,000 now, and it's building because more and more people will find out, you know, about what we're up to, what you guys are up to. We'll tell them about what you're up to as well. We'll all allied together. But this is fantastic. It feels like people are starting to realize that basically, you know, you've got Stop the Rot, and you've also got a one-stop shop on how to defend yourselves against the coming medical tyranny. Now, when I say coming medical tyranny, people might say, what do you mean coming medical tyranny? We're already living under it. Okay, you ready? You ain't seen nothing yet, guys.
Yet.
Well,
A bunch
we
of
actually
criminal
have this
perverts.
from today. We have this from
They
today.
just signed us up to the bloody who.
I think it was 159 yeses, 9 no, and 9 absentees.
Yep.
We've
There
just
you go,
had,
guys. That's the future. That's your
We've just
future.
lost our
We would have had a
sovereignty.
representative there. Yep, signing us up. Okay, we know he was over there. So here it is. Penny Wong's a Chinese asset. You know, they got it all going their way, guys. And you got the, Prime Minister trying to say how we'll take back our ports. And we got the health ministry out there saying we're going to get back our hospitals. These guys are all full of shit. Now we got Paul Scully, who will be doing a report tomorrow at Cully Bay, because we're taking a few more people with us tomorrow. We got a little bit more organised, and I'll have my microphone there and a few things. But Mr. Paul Scully, once again, I need to be calling you out, bro. Send him a link to this show tonight, please, you people in Wollongong. Right, send it to his wife, Bern Scully, Alison. And can go to Mr. Ryan Park.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. We're calling the 3 years out. You are the Labor stooges down here that are still trying to sell us out to the New World Order. People are waking up. Now you're trying to move on our homeless. Okay. And this is going to kick you guys in the ass. All right. I'm telling you. We're getting
actually, you mentioned.
Okay? Yeah. Let's go.
Well, actually, you mentioned the homeless. That's an important thing, because guess what? I can tell you tonight, maybe you don't have time, but I can tell you that the homeless played a role, an unwitting role. They didn't know about it. They played a role in the signing of that pandemic treaty. Would you like to know how?
Quickly, yeah.
Okay. The Labor's, Labor have a strong connection to Reverend Bill Cruz, a supposed national living treasure who's connected to John Singleton. Right. Well, during COVID, he was putting out press releases saying, I'm a constant loudmouth about vaccinating the homeless. And he sent mobile vans all around Sydney and coerced Sydney's poor and homeless into these terrible poison shots, these clot shots, right?
How much does the government pay this guy a year to do this?
Well,
Charles, I think you'd know, wouldn't you?
Oh, well, we just found out. He just got a $10 million sweetheart grant from his mate Albanese right after Albo won the... Yeah, he did. Now, let me explain. So here we have...
Yeah.
No, that's Bill Cruz. Yeah, that's the Bill Cruz Foundation. Yep.
Right.
Now, I'll tell you something interesting. You ready for this, guys? In 2020, the Rev Bill Cruz Foundation was called the Exodus Foundation. It had a religious name, and it had been associated with Christianity for its entire 30-year history. As soon as I became a witness to the UK's infected blood inquiry, my co-pilot, if you will, the partner in my 30-year campaign for Infected Blood Australia, departed my group right after I was made a witness to the UK's infected blood inquiry on behalf of Australia. Here he is here, Rev Bill Cruz. He departed my group, okay, and he started sabotaging our efforts. We couldn't believe it, right? Well, right after that happened, basically he had promised our group for years, if his close friend, Australia's Prime Minister, who he's known ever since he was a young bloke, his close friend, Australia's Prime Minister, would order a legal investigation into hundreds of children being experimented on and unalived by the Australian Labor government in the 1980s and 90s. And some of them were friends of mine. He also said he would ask his close friend Albo for a legal investigation into how tens of thousands of Australian women were given tainted blood transfusions in childbirth. That was his promise to our group, and had been with us for decades. Well, guess what happened? During the election, the Australia's national living treasure, this supposed Christian, he basically went back on his promise, and he didn't call on his friend Albo. And I've got lots of emails of me panicked saying, what the bloody hell are you doing? You're bloody betraying us. He wouldn't talk to us. And then right after, within 24 hours of Albo winning the election, he was given a $10 million grant. He's already had millions of dollars, millions and millions from the taxpayer. He's already had fortunes from his mate, John Singleton. And now he gets an extraordinary...
Hey, Charles. Charles. Let Dave have a go, bro.
Yeah, no. I want to go to you, Frank, because I want to know what you found when you went down there, mate.
Oh, mate.
As in...
well, Charles and I, as you know, we went down to the sanctuary of Bill Cruz. And... well, it's literally a whole block. I mean, the guy owns probably a quarter of a block down in Linfield. Is it? Where was it again?
Ashfield.
Ashfield, right?
It's Liverpool Road, Ashfield.
Ashfield. So we decided to venture down there, and what we noticed was there were 6 really brand new vehicles, and this is an oil-drilled machine. Like, there's no question.
What sort of vehicles, Frank?
Pardon?
What sort of vehicles were they?
Like vans, full on, Hilux vans, but pretty well equipped, right? So there were half a dozen of them, brand new, basically just sitting there waiting to go. I'll tell you what I noticed, right? Now, they say that their signage would be their downfall, Dave. On his cafe, right? He's new and actually, Caz, when you brought up the web page, notice there was butterflies there.
Yeah, I'm just grabbing it and I'm just basically bringing it up for the next bit. So yes, go on.
Okay, so here it is. Here we go. The butterflies. Now we know that that's related to MK Ultra. Okay. Now on the coffee cup, right? When on the coffee cup itself, he had the street ice cream sign, which is relation to pedophilia.
Oh, the pedophilia signs, Frank. Who'd have guessed?
Hey, there you go. Another criminal pervert, basically. And anyway, Charles.
Yeah, well, I don't know that Bill Cruz is a pedophile, right? But I will say this, and this is what's important. Bill Cruz knew. Now, not just by the way, though, you can't just throw these suggestions out because we have had a lot of pedophiles play reverend and priest and all of that, right? But the main thing with Bill Cruz that worries me is here is a letter, right? You won't be able to read it, but as an example from my Instagram, I sent 2 letters to Anthony Albanese. I've been an activist for 30 years. And I'll tell you something right now. Bureaucrats and politicians, what they'll do, they'll at least give you an acknowledgement. They might not reply to you or give you the answer you want, right? I wrote to this guy twice during his first term as Prime Minister. Let me just read you the first paragraph. To the Honourable Anthony Albanese, the Reverend Bill Cruz of the Ashfield Uniting Church, Sydney, and I are campaigning on behalf of thousands of victims of Australia's tainted blood scandal who were infected with hepatitis C in the years before 1990 when Australia's blood supply was left unprotected, right? So I've made it very clear, okay? Now, I got no acknowledgement to that email. And the thing is, they know I'm a witness in a major inquiry that's just found manslaughter. And they know that I've got an international legal team, right? No acknowledgement at all. Instead, what happened was my old friend stopped talking to me. So during this period, Reverend Bill Cruz and I were very close. And suddenly the guy goes all cold on me. I couldn't believe it. I never knew he had it in him. He started sabotaging me. He started saying, yeah, I'll hold a meeting for you. Then he'd cancel it with 5 minutes notice. All these things started happening. Well, then he broke his promise to call on his mate Albo for the necessary inquiry into hundreds of children being experimented on by the Australian Labor government in the 80s and 90s. And those children were murdered. And I've actually gone to federal police, and I'll tell you something right now. They've opened up a case file, and they're hearing from survivors, okay? Now, they wouldn't do that if there was nothing to this, right? So imagine that. I've written to this Albo twice during his first term as Prime Minister, not one acknowledgement, but the first thing that happens is Rev Bill Cruz gets an extraordinary $10 million payment. On Albo's Facebook page, he put out a press release like 48 hours afterwards, full of pictures and him, Rev Cruz, saying, oh, he's been a friend of his for years and he really cares for the charity. No, he didn't. He made that payment, and I'll tell you how it leads into the pandemic. Had he been called for an inquiry by Cruz, the media would have recognised this story is legitimate, right? And then they'd have found out that the Australian Labor government was working with the World Health Organization on experimenting on Australian children. What's more, the World Health Organization also helped develop a hepatitis B vaccine here in Australia, where they murdered the gay community. They were used as guinea pigs by the World Health Organization in the late 70s and early 90s in Sydney and Melbourne. They killed a lot of them, right? So if all of that had come out and people had found out, there's no way in the world a bloody Albanese, he's never had a bloody job in his life. There's no way in the world we have elected that pervert when he's covering up child murder, and especially when it's linked to the World Health Organization. So they knew what they had to do. They had to create civil war in my group by paying off the second in command, okay, my partner. So they paid him off, bought him off, and guess what? Albo wins, and guess what? We've got a pandemic treaty, and guess what? The Reverend who was rounding up the homeless to have them vaccinated did his job. He did his job. He betrayed not only Infected Blood Australia and tens of thousands of infected blood victims, he helped sell us out to the pandemic treaty.
Thank you, Charles. That's some ground. You know, this is what we want to hear, guys. This is what we want the public to hear. Now, this is just a Reverend Cruise. You know, how many cities have we got and how many people have we got out there doing this sort of stuff, guys? This is the infiltration. You know, allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man. You all know the song, all right, by the Rolling Stones. Okay?
Watch this, guys. Watch this. I've got a video here. Watch this from 20 years ago, an inquiry I forced. Watch Reverend Bill Cruz talking about the infected blood scandal right now. Watch this. Wait.
I really and truly believe there should be people in jail over this. I really do. I really and truly believe there should be people in jail over this. I really do.
Well, guess what? He really believes there should be people in jail over this. That was what he said 20 years ago. So when his close friend Albo was made Prime Minister, he promised me, man. He promised. I've been at this 30 years. My mum's given hundreds of thousands to support my loan crusade. He promised me, and guess what he did? He said, I really believe people should be in jail over this. Well, when he had his chance to say to Albo, hey, people should be in jail, we should have an inquiry, guess what? Shut his mouth, got his 10 million, and now we've got a pandemic treaty.
Okay, well, the Reverend Cruz needs to be let know about. Maybe we need to email him off this show, guys, and whack it right up his chin. That's what I think.
We need a protest at his Ashfield, at that charity. He coerced the homeless. Who's going to care about them? How dare you? How dare anyone think that an Australian that doesn't have their roof over their head needs to become a guinea pig? We all should have the same rights. We should have choice. This man betrayed his country. I'd like to help with a protest at the Ashfield Uniting Church at this Red Bill Cruz Foundation, which had a name change all of a sudden. He opened up a vaccine clinic for the homeless and poor in 2021, and he went from being called the Exodus Foundation to the Red Bill Cruz Foundation. And I know what that is, because the socialist criminal perverts who are working with Bill Gates don't want any religious connotation, and they know that Bill Cruz is 82, he'll die soon, they'll have an estate funeral, and then they'll own that charity, and they'll make it their own.
They already have. They already own it. You know, exactly. You know, all they're going to do is do the transfer, you know what I mean? But they're already running it. Kazak, come on in, darling. What do we got? Brilliant, Charles.
Oh, no. Well, actually, I just want to revisit this if I can. Now, we're not saying anybody is a pedo, but apparently, according to Wikipedia, when the FBI file, it actually is that symbol. Very similar. Yep. I just thought that was interesting.
Well found, Kaz.
Well, there's a whole heap of them here, so I should probably send them all to you, and you can see how many of them check out. But look, I do want to actually look. We do have a massive problem here at the moment, like with everything that is going on. We've just visited what's going on with that. Look, I do want to break the momentum for a minute because this is worthwhile. Now, I strongly condemn this behaviour.
Because can you imagine coming into any workplace, coming into a hospital, dumping cow manure on a colleague's desk, going into a factory and dumping that in the tea room? Could you imagine how that would be treated in any other workplace?
You've dumped shit in our face.
I love the smell of manure in the morning.
The last 20-odd years, that government has been dumping shit on your face, people. The last 20 years, they've been sitting on your face and crapping on you, man. And we've just woke up to the smell and the taste, haven't we? It's not
nice. Now, also, don't forget that Peter
smells good, Dave.
Now, Peter Daglish, he was actually on, he's appeared on InfoWars, and he had this to say, which was really interesting.
Ethical or speculative. Decades of research have demonstrated the risks of foreign DNA integrating into human cells, leading to potentially catastrophic outcomes. Synthetic DNA contamination, as detected in Australian vials of the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines by David Spiker, presents risks of a genomic instability which can manifest as cancers, immune disorders, and hereditary diseases. To explain in more straightforward terms, the vaccines contain lipid nanoparticles which encapsulate synthetic DNA fragments. These nanoparticles deliver this DNA into various organs throughout the body, where the DNA has the potential to integrate into our own genetic material. As such, these vaccines are not vaccines. They are, in fact, gene therapy based. This genomic integration, as the scientific literature makes clear, can lead to cancer development, immune system disruption, and more. The sheer levels of contamination detected, up to 145 times permissible limit in some cases, are extraordinary and far beyond what should be allowed in any medicinal product. The real-world evidence from the UK, while this may sound like a remote possibility, I am here to tell you that we are already seeing evidence of these effects in real patients.
Well, and you know, let's go a step further, guys. You know, it's a patented thing, guys. All right. And the people who took this jab, sorry to remind you once again, but you have even under their law, you have no rights anymore. You know why?
Yeah.
Because the person that owns that patent actually now owns you. And that's what the international law says, guys. And that's where they got you to. Okay. You are no longer what they describe.
They wipe their hands.
Yep. You're gone, man. You're finished. You had the shot.
Yep.
That's all they needed to do, because now you have no rights. You have infected DNA. This is the most horrible thing. But guys, is it going to get worse? Yep.
Yes.
Sure is. Sure is.
Yeah.
Because you can see what they're doing right now. So we come together and stop it, because it is going to get worse.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, the narrative is shifting dramatically, especially, you know, they say that America sneezes and the world catches a cold. You can see that with these two next clips. They're only short. Look at this.
I do want to ask you about US aid and the comments that Bill Gates made the other day, and I know that you called him...
Yeah, he's a huge liar.
I know, you said that already. I wondered, and I'm just...
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he frequented Jeffrey Epstein?
Okay, well, he's...
Notice the clap, the narrative is shifting, and then they've got this.
Senator, I want to point out that in 2021, at the beginning of his administration, President Biden submitted his budget on May. You know what? You made an accusation of me, and I'm going to answer it.
Okay, I appreciate
On May 28th, he submitted his budget. So our budget. We're a new administration.
Okay, you can. Go
and I also want to point out.
I have just 2 minutes left. I asked you a specific.
I want to point out something, Senator. You presided here, I think, for 32 years. You presided over the destruction of the health of the American people.
Well,
our people are now the sickest people in the world.
Seriously,
because you have not done your job.
Seriously, that.
The narrative is changing. It's a war of narratives at the moment. It is a war of narratives, and we are so winning the war of narratives at the moment.
Can I just answer that? What's my solution? My solution is what I keep saying all the time, guys. When we all stand up as one nation, one country, okay? I got a picture here. You know, this is Australia, guys. All right, I haven't put it up yet because I thought, this is just going to get me into a bit of strife here. But
don't worry about it, Dave.
No, it's just incredible. I've been watching the morning show because me and Mel get up at 5 o'clock. You know, so I get up and keep my eye on the mainstream, and what we're finding, guys, is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, this is, you'll be able to see this. Where are we? This is Granville. It's up there, Granville Public School. There is one Australian kid in that. Now, this is on the National 9 News, you know what I mean? I'll put this photo out for you guys. All right? But if you have a look at that, this is our Australian school, Catholic school, guys. There's one Aussie kid. He's just sitting over on the left-hand side there. The only one that I can tell is an Aussie. And this is what they're doing to our country, guys. And here it is on the mainstream media. You know, oh, look, here's Australia. Here's South Granville, Catholic school. This is all the psychological. And they said the other day, this is psychological. They actually admitted that they were playing psychological war on you. So the answer is, when enough people want to stand up and get to their state governors and group up, and then from there make some decisions on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, we go take the trophy. It's pretty simple. But until we do that, go, Frank.
We actually had a bunch of school kids rock up at Mondays at Maggie's on Monday in the pouring rain. And mate, they actually wanted to get the microphone and have a crack, you know what I mean? So, you know, and they were just doing a schooly thing, and they just wandered over to see what we were doing. And actually, we got applauded by them. So until the teacher reeled them away straight away.
Yeah, exactly. Indoctrination. This is our problem, guys. Yeah. Indoctrination and protocol. Our hospitals are FEMA camps. Why are they FEMA camps? Not because they haven't got caring people in there, because they've got people in there who obviously care for people, or they wouldn't be fucking working in there. They're under protocol, right, of what they have to do. There is no moving from the protocol. They
Remdesivir.
Yeah, 4.5 weeks to kill Dad. And I just sit there and watch it. Well, guess what? You know, justice is, what revenge is mine, saith the Lord. But I'll tell you what, it hangs pretty hard on my heart, guys. My old man had years left in him. He was fitter than I am.
I had my mother murdered in November. I've had my stepfather, who's a great man. He was killed. I mean, I now have no family. And the thing is that was so frustrating for me was I knew as soon as they called this pandemic not to trust a single thing that they say for you to do. And I knew that you should never take these injections. I'll tell you why. Because the great nemesis of Infected Blood Australia, the man that made tens of thousands of Australians live diminished lives for the last 40 years, is this man here. His name's Bill Botel, and he's Australia's leading public health strategist, and he's the #1 advisor to Australia's health minister, Mark Butler. Well, guess what? He told a lie for 40 years that he'd led a world-renowned response to HIV. And he did so knowing that there are members of my group at Infected Blood Australia who were given HIV from blood transfusions and blood products, and they've had no help, and they're forced to visit food banks in 2025 in order to survive. So why did he tell that lie? I'll tell you why. Because 20 years ago, he took that lie to Bill Gates, who gave him millions of dollars to set up a lobbying outfit to lobby the Australian government to give Bill Gates hundreds of millions for his global vaccine and HIV efforts. Of course, much of that money doesn't get to people with HIV overseas. But the outrageous thing is Australians with HIV from the blood supply are forced to visit food banks, while this man has had TV shows made about him, about what a successful operation he led with HIV. There's a picture of the actor Tim Draxel, and this is who played Bill Botel in a 2023 ABC musical drama called In Our Blood that made him out to be this great hero. Well, nothing could be further than the truth. And what he did, he used that lie to then make himself out to be the top person on health in Australia. Well, as soon as COVID started, he started telling everyone before the jabs had rolled out, he said, Australians are sitting ducks. This is on Channel 9 with Carl Stefanovic. He said, Australians are sitting ducks without these injections. And as soon as they come, you'll have to have them or you'll be sitting ducks. Now, imagine you're elderly, you're vulnerable, you're not a doctor perhaps, and you're reliant on health information. And you're told that an experimental concoction arranged by Bill Gates is your best hope. Otherwise, you're a sitting duck. What incentive do you think Bill Botel had? Do you think his incentives were for the best interests of Australia? Or do you think they were for his mate Bill Gates and the coming pandemic treaty? This whole thing, everybody. Yeah, Australia, what's happened is they are pulling the rug from under our feet right now. They're changing the populace. And I actually spoke about this because I know many of the top Labor figures. I've been told they want to have me assassinated. I've got a criminologist who've told me for years that they plan on murdering me. Because you see, because I knew.
Charles, I've got your back, mate.
Yeah, well, thank you. I need a few people. I'll need Australia to have my back, but I'll just say this. The reason is because I knew the plot. The plot was Bill Botel. They call him Professor Botel. Like when he went on to Channel 9, he was called Professor. He's got a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Tasmania in the 70s, and they now call him Professor. Why are they doing that? Oh, because he's going to jab the entire country because he's working for Bill Gates and they wanted to give him a little bit more credence, right? Well, what has he been for 40 years? He's been a member of the Fabian Society. And anyone that's been keeping tabs on the Fabian Society, do you know what their plan was for Australia? To change our populace. And I read that 30 years ago, about they're going to change Australia's populace. And guess what we're going to become under Bill Botel? Because he's the real boss of Australia. Bill Gates is now the king, but this is his little sheriff down under. not Albo. This is the guy that tells Albo what to do. And they're going to change Australia's populace to make it an example of what the UN can be when it claims its First Nation.
Yep, that's exactly right. They gave us the playbook, mate. Yep. So you people out there, any new viewers, we're not crazy. What we're doing here is putting out facts, and we can back it all up, guys. And yeah, we would like you to go and do your research. All right, we are a news show. We bring you what's going on, but we only bring you what's factually going on. You need to go out and have a look, because once you do, you'll be astounded of the matrix that you're actually living in, guys. And it is a matrix. Over to you, Kaz.
Can I give them some research material before I let Kaz? I'll just say this. Go to infectedbloodaustralia.com and have a look for a section called The Evidence They Don't Want You to See, and have a look at a timeline of Australian Red Cross and CSL donors, blood donors. Be patient for about 20 seconds as it loads, and then get ready. Spend an hour there on that timeline, and guess what you'll find? It's all lies, everybody. We've had a contaminated blood supply since the 1940s. Hundreds of thousands of Australians were given tainted blood transfusions. We've been lied to. They're killing us. They're stealing our country, and they're all criminal perverts. They're leftist creeps. We're losing our country. You better turn up at those governors' gates if you want Australia to be Australia. We're losing it already, as you can see from those school photos, because of bastards like this.
Well done, Charlie.
All right, Gaza.
No, I was just looking at something that. No, I was just trying to find that. Basically, yeah, just the clergy in Australia, the clergy plan in Australia, actually, with somebody who was a professor or an author, and he's basically is salivating over the fact that we're basically importing so many people, and how it was a plan, and they don't even hide it. This is the problem. But the thing is that Australians are just basically it's like they can't believe that people would do this to them. It's like the dodos. The reason why they were wiped out is because they didn't have any enemies, and I think that that's a bit like the Australians. They don't actually think that we've got,
come in and smash them. Yeah. All right, look, Charles on fire. What information, Frank? Just have a chat, mate. Have a say. You guys are kicking it out there. We're all in the same thing. You got to get out with these guys, get behind these guys, right? And we can make a change, guys.
Yeah. Mondays at Maggie's, mate. And I'm telling you now, if we take down New South Wales, the rest will follow, and I have no doubt about that. And all you have to do is rock up and show up. Now, if we get the big numbers like we want, we're not going home, Dave. We're going to camp outside. I don't care if it's pissing down rain, mate. We're staying until it's done, right? How long do you reckon? If we've got, let's hypothetically, 1,000 to 10,000 people down at Mondays at Maggie's, right? She'd be out that door by about with less than 3 hours. I reckon she'd be handing the keys back in.
I think 500. A minute, if we get them 500, should be looking at. Should be eyeing the door.
Yeah, well, we got to give. Hang on, we got to give the cops a problem. 500's not enough. Okay, we need numbers.
Oh no, we need more. But yeah, it just whatever. With 500, we could start the business.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Charles and I will keep doing what we got to do.
Yep.
Well, guess what, everybody? I think the reason that people also, and thank you, Frank, I think the reason also people should come on down to Mondays at Maggie's, you want to know why? Because you want to be part of history. I've been a campaigner and activist full-time for 30 years. And the thing is, I've actually claimed a couple of scalps. What I mean by that is I've had some corrupt people lose their jobs. Martine Letts, the former boss of the Australian Red Cross. She went down because I exposed the Australian Red Cross barley appeal scandal 22 years ago or whatever, right? So what that does is it galvanizes people. And what you're going to see is Frank and I are determined Margaret Beazley is gone. In every lawful and peaceful way, she's finished. I'll tell you why. She's patron of the Australian Red Cross. I just mentioned the barley appeal scandal. We've still got bushfire victims out there and people are still living in tents who are being moved on because they still haven't received the compensation and donated money that this Red Cross took from them, right? But this Margaret Beazley, she's also a former judge and she's in the role of governor of New South Wales. Well, actually, her lawful duty is to call for an inquiry into some of these things, to call for an inquiry into Red Cross's fraud, to call for an inquiry into thousands of people in New South Wales who received tainted blood transfusions from the Red Cross. So what she's done, none of those things. So what we're going to do is, and I think it's great that we're talking about numbers, but guess what? We're not just doing that. We're actually going to do things that are going to put her in the hot seat. So we're actually going to challenge her. And essentially, we're going to bring out that she's failed in her duty for years to do. I mean, she's a judge, right? That's why she was named as governor, because she'd been a judge. But she's failing. She's failing in her duties across the board. So really, she's just a miscreant. Okay, you're no longer a governor. Yeah, you're not doing your lawful duty. So if you had a cop driving around drunk and with heroin in his arm all day, is he doing his duty? No, he's not. He's a miscreant. So we're going to get her out for not doing her job. And then, guess what? It doesn't end there. Like Franco said, they'll replace her. Well, they'll replace her with more of the same. So we'll be there again to get rid of the next fake governor and the next one and the next one.
Sounds great to me. Thanks, Charles. Brilliant, mate.
That's a great plan. Look, we're being taken out by the rocking housewife. Dave, if you'd like to close the show, that'd be great.
Look, I'd like to thank these two legends here, and there's others on, and I'm going to name a couple of people. Craig Vine. We've got, oh man, now I'm going blank.
I want to name Peter Cass, a bloody good bloke. Like Craig Vine, Peter Cass, they Karen, all of these people that drive it, Robin, so many good people. Steve, also Steve, he's got a big pair of balls on that bloke. Love all these people. They love their country. They're heroes of mine.
So you want to get on a part of history, guys, because we are going to get this back, okay? All right? They are falling apart. When we got a cop in the middle of the road throwing his radar gun at a car, guys, we're kicking ass, okay?
Self-defense.
We're really kicking ass. Yeah.
Self-defense.
All right. Good night, guys. Thanks, you legends. It's absolute
good night.
brilliant.
Thank you, everyone.
Out there doing your stuff. All right. You are making a change.
Love you, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey,
thank you, Dave. Thank you, Caz.
Be the change you want to see. Okay? Be the change that you want to see. And we will move forward. Good night.
I woke up to the sound of another siren wail. Cost of living rising high, it's a never-ending trail. Homes crumbling, dreams fading in this sunburnt land. I remember summer's bright, now it's slipping through my hands. Before I raise my hands, can you hear my silent screams? We tried to use our voices, but they silenced all our dreams. Big banks and broken promises, they lead us to despair. In the shadows of the system, do they even really care? I wander through our city, see the empty, hollow streets. Echoes of my childhood where our laughter used to meet. Injecting us with poison while they smile in their suits. I recall the nights of hope, now it's just a bitter truth. Before I raise my hands, can you hear my silent screams? We tried to use our voices, but they silenced all our dreams. Big banks and broken promises, they lead us to despair. In the shadows of the system, do they even really care? 1984, the words ring in my mind. They're watching us in silence, leaving truth 2 steps behind. Division is their plan, keep us small, keep us weak. But I remember unity, and my heart begins to speak. Once we stood together, side by side, hand in hand. Now it's whispers in the dark, in this divided land. I see the suffering eyes, where's your guilt, where's your soul? In this game of dominance, they're just playing their role. Remember every story, let's reclaim our heart and soul. In the land down under, we'll find strength in our cries. Together we'll uncover truth, no longer living in disguise.